40 minutes, you will gain practical insights into how to manage a robust change management process, accelerate transformation with CI/CD, manage parallel development and dual landscape, and ensure compliance, all while avoiding harmful changes and audit surprises. You will also hear real-world best practices adopted by the largest SAP customers worldwide, and insights you can take back and apply right away. Our speakers today are Dan McGran, Director of Sales for the Americas with Rev-Trac. Dan has more than 10 years experience in complex SAP transformation projects, an in-depth understanding of the challenges and opportunities facing the SAP teams, particularly SAP change management, cross-platform integration, trends, and DevOps orchestration. Suharsh Anand, Principal Solution Architect with Oxia. Suharsh has more than 17 years of experience in SAP technologies and cloud solutions. He has played a key role in many successful S/4HANA implementations and has architected numerous enterprise IT landscapes across various industries. Suharsh, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Yes. Thanks for the introduction. So before we take a deep dive into agenda, let's take a closer look who we are. We are independent provider of cloud services, specialized in technical services and managed cloud solutions. Our expertise extends into professional services, IT consulting, hosting services on our own cloud, as well as the leading platforms such as Google Cloud, AWS, and Microsoft Azure. Here are some brands and the company's logos that we carry on our shoulder proudly. Let's take a closer look, as we are recognized, specialized into technical services. Oxia is committed to the business transformation smoothly to S/4HANA's, any mission critical application. Few areas to name in which we have specializations are migrations, we do more conversions, BTP, automation, change management, SAP advisory services. And today we will be more focused on change management and advanced change management using Rev-Trac, offering through a thorough perspective on how SAP S/4HANA transformation with the integrated toolset that is accessible to us in the modern ERP landscape, how to use that toolset within this framework. We will be discussing on that. With that, I will hand over to Dan, from here to speak on a few customer stories, for Rev-Trac customers. Dan, over to you.
Coming off mute, hopefully it's good. So thanks, Suharsh. And yeah, just not in-depth customer stories, but we engage with customers at all phases of their, let's say, their S/4HANA transformation, and some that may not even be there yet, and we'll get into those scenarios later. But customers that might be in some type of a greenfield approach, using Rev-Trac to help with those for the technical SAP change management. Just a quick introduction. I know we have some Rev-Trac customers on the call, but Rev-Trac as a solution is a unified SAP change management solution for moving your technical changes or your transports. And what we mean by unified is, of course, moving the ABAP changes that everybody's used to for the last 30 plus years. The non-ABAP changes, things that you might be using, such as business objects or old portal or native HANA objects, basically things supported with CTS Plus, as well as the more modern, the new kid on the block, as I call it, BTP changes, the business technology platform changes, and the CTMS, cloud TMS transports that are associated with those. So that's what Rev-Trac does at a very high level, and how we help customers. As you can see, some of our more recognizable logos here, whether they're in a greenfield approach, a brownfield approach, or some other type of hybrid approach. And none of these are really an exact brownfield or an exact greenfield. They all have different shades and different approaches based on their history with SAP and where they're moving towards. So key point here is that Rev-Trac is in use at many customers, helping them with successful S/4HANA transformations there, and many of these are referenceable customers, of course, if those want to be in touch with them at an appropriate point as you're evaluating your options for SAP change management. If you go to the next slide, Suharsh, I have one more before you get into the Oxia content. And Rev-Trac has been around in this space for more than 25 years, and we've been able to consistently deliver proven business outcomes with our solution. We call this our 4 pillars slide, and it just sort of categorizes the different key areas where Rev-Trac can make an impact for SAP customers in terms of automating their and governing their SAP change management. So we automate many things within the typically manual SAP change management process. I remember we did an exercise with customers years ago, and we gathered something like 150 things for different customers that we're automating in there. So we automate much of the manual activities that are going today, which obviously helps with efficiencies. We accelerate the change for SAP customers, meaning that the businesses don't want the change next week or next month. They want it today or by the end of this week, right? So we can help accelerate the delivery of that change. But if you're delivering more changes and accelerating those changes, but they're not safe and stable changes, that would be an issue. So Rev-Trac, a key aspect of Rev-Trac is the safety and stability checks that are built into Rev-Trac for dependency checks and sequencing checks that are always there to safeguard these changes that you're making to your systems. Avoiding things like downgrades in production due to transports and things like that, of course. And then we wrap that all up in a compliance aspect because people need to audit these change management processes. They need to prove to internal and external auditors that people are following the correct process, the right documentation is in place, the right approvals are in place, all those types of things. So that's a quick overview of the key business outcomes that Rev-Trac delivers. And the little icons at the bottom are from our G2 participation by our customers. I want to thank our customers that might have given us reviews on there, but we're have probably close to 40 or 50 reviews from customers, and we encourage anyone to go take a look at those to see what our current customers are saying about their experiences with Rev-Trac. So quick introduction. I'll be back later to talk more about S/4HANA transformations, but over to you again, Suharsh.
Thank you, Dan. So let's deep dive into agenda directly from from here. Let's try to understand what are the uncertainties, and why we need a transformation, whether it's a business transformation you are looking at, whether you're looking at the digital transformation, and what are the uncertainties, that can lead to an opportunities, for the transformation. On left-hand side over here, what you see, the forces, such as geopolitical changes, supply chain, anything related to your behavior change in the user behavior change, that can lead to a lot of, disruption, climate changes, including, consumer behavior shift, technology pattern changes. And what we have, what we call this kind of environment is kind of a VUCA world. VUCA stands for it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. To solve it, basically how technology remains the key enabler. On the right-hand side, if we see business model expansions, operating model changes, adopting new technologies, autonomous processes, to solve it, basically, we should have a VUCA way to solve it as well, since we are coming out of VUCA world. So per se, what we say is VUCA stands for in technology enablement. What's your vision, understanding, clarity, and agility? That's what it stands for. And technology is the central enabler, basically, in entire, your framework, with the cloud transformation, AI together as a key to the digital transformation for the give a power to your strategic business initiatives, and how to solve it. Basically, we will see that in next couple of slides as well, and why we need S/4HANA and how S/4HANA can be, and the change can be a backbone for your S/4HANA transformation. We will see that within the slide over here. So what is the secret sauce and to be a more successful in business transformation and leading to an S/4HANA implementation? If we look at very closely, anything that starts with it's with the change. So definitely SAP Cloud ALM offers a comprehensive range of features tailored to effective management of the change deployment in the S/4HANA environment. It has a strong backbone, which is on the CTS engine, from a technology perspective. It integrates not only the integration of the Cloud ALM not only simplifies the deployment process, but it also improves the overall governance and the compliance of the changes made within the system. So anything related to your ensuring the sustainability in the system, making sure it is decision-making process, cost savings, basically. These are the few benefits. Making sure the role of the change is centrally focused and making sure the change is the backbone of your transformation. And without effective change management, the most of the advanced technologies at the risk of failing. So definitely the change is a key enabler over here in terms of transformation. And this slide talks about more on the integrated tool chain, that SAP has brought in latest and greatest, with acquisitions as well as the new technologies. Those are outperforming at this point in time in terms of transformation. If we see this slide is a little bit old. We have a newer model of integration toolset, but definitely this is still valid, for the explanation purposes. The Rise with SAP methodology integrates with powerful tool chain, which comes with SAP Signavio, which drives your business processes, with SAP Linux, which drives your architecture needs. And when it is combined with your Activate methodology, which starts with discover, prepare, explore, realize, and deploy and run, when it combines with that, the outcomes, we will see that on the next slide. But definitely, once we talk about the processes, architecture, validation, enablement, building anything related to their monitoring, digital backbone, SAP has brought in the integrated tools within this area, within this framework, from latest and greatest perspective. And if we see Trisense, that is also a part of this integrated toolchain that is readily available within Cloud ALM, for standard features. And if you would like to extend it to the enhanced version of it, there is a separate licensing required. So definitely that's automation within the testing area. And SAP Enable now is WalkMe now. So definitely that is helping us, for the end user trainings, enablement, in that area. And SAP Cloud ALM is more towards, the change management as well as the monitoring piece of it, though it has very short, shortcomings basically in terms of the technology that is available to us at this point in time. And we will learn how the advanced engines, in the N+1 landscapes, can be used with the Rev-Trac, with the advanced models. We will learn that, in the further in the slides, when Dan will be briefing us about the Rev-Trac. So here are some outcomes, when you use the tool chain, what we just discussed, so here are 9 outcomes that SAP outlined, for the transformation journey. And if we take a closer look, the fast digital transformation, unlocking your agile operating model, anything related to your building business flexibility. And underneath, if you see, there are some highlighted in the bold. These ones are closely related to your change management. It's anything related to your speed up your innovation. Definitely you need a strong change management over here. Ensuring the transformation success, optimizing IT cost, flexibility, alignment to your business needs, reducing the technical depth, improving your compliance and the governance. These are all areas where you need a strong change management as a backbone, just to make sure you are successful in your transformation. Here is the very, is the reference architecture that talks more about what the typical in S/4HANA implemented environment looks like. Now we are shifting basically a little bit from the implementation side of it to operational side of it. But this reference architecture is focused on how the DevOps is the key enabler for achieving a high level agility and the quality in the development projects. Though it is more focused on the development projects, but the conceptually how the change is carried out in the SAP landscape, that the concept remains same. So definitely, if we take a look at it from right hand side, my right hand side, we have data center, we have cloud, where the solution manager and the SAP focused run is deployed. Just to mention, SAP Cloud, SAP Solution Manager is getting out of maintenance and by 2027, and there might be an extended maintenance, going towards 2030, but that is all paid version of it. But there is a transition, that is being forced by SAP, as a result, to SAP Cloud ALM. And just to mention, SAP Cloud ALM is not 100% ready for the complex and advanced SAP landscapes. So definitely we will talk about that here in a minute. But looking at this architecture, coming back to the architecture, we see S/4HANA as deployed within the environment. We have development, pre-prod, and prod. So definitely managing the change within this environment and integrated with the BTP environment right here. With an continuous integration with the DevOps methodology, with making sure the business application studio for your development environment is set up correctly. So it is closely integrated from overall perspective, and how the changes are being taken from one environment to another. It speaks about that in the shared model within the BTP. And the advantage of having this model is, it's closely integrated with other services within BTP as well, for automation, for your AI needs, and so on. And definitely you see Rev-Trac right at the top. So SAP Cloud ALM is not 100% ready at this point in time for N+1 environments or the complex environment where the change is going super fast, and you are implementing greenfield, brownfield implementations, basically where change needs to be managed in the different swim lanes, and it's still not ready for that. So definitely Rev-Trac can help you over there, and definitely now Oxia can help you with the implementation piece of it as well. Then just take a closer look at what Cloud ALM brings on table at this point in time. So Cloud ALM is not just about change management. It has more pillars to it, like process management, project and task management, documentation management, test management, change enablement, and analytics and user management. These are the areas which are already incorporated into Cloud ALM, and it's more than a change management. Though there are shortfalls in the change management area, but other areas like your monitoring, your documentation for the project setups, for the testing, it extends to Tricense, as I mentioned in the previous slide as well. But definitely this is a very well organized tool. It's enterprise grade ready, and we have seen a lot of success outside of where the complex needs, outside of the complex needs, where it is more simplified. We have development, quality, and production, for those kind of changes. The next slide talks on the same lines as well, that this is your end-to-end flow for your SAP Cloud ALM for implementation. Now, if we take a closer look, SAP Cloud ALM on the left-hand side of the slide, the reason it is mentioned over there is it plays a very critical role in terms of implementation cycle. And this slide talks about the implementation cycle very briefly, starting with the project lead. When you set up your project and onboard your team members, make sure, your plan is there, you time box it. And moving to the business experts who will contribute to your selection of processes and the scope defining and making sure those requirements are approved. And once the requirements are approved, we move on to the third step right here in the consulting experts, where we are creating user stories like in a Kanban board we do, and we are making sure the processes are these user stories are processes are completed, and they are ready for the deployment. As that will move us to the step number 4. We create those features. We create those features as a branch in the what we call it in the DevOps methodology. So we create and assign those transports, move it to QA system. And once it is moved to QA, it is ready for the testing. You define your test variations, you define your requirements for the testing. At the fifth stage, when your test cases are ready, you move on to your sixth step right here, where you will manage your test cases, assign the testers, and you execute your test cases. And if you see there are defects within the test cases right here, and you resolve those defects right here and bring it back for the execution of the test cases. And once your test cases are completely thoroughly tested, you move on to step number 7, which confirms your requirement and move your deployment, the transports basically to the production. So in entire framework, from a cloud A&M perspective, if you see, we are using project management, we are using testing, we are also doing the monitoring. Basically, we are also using a document management engine, and we are also using a chain management, which is acting as a backbone in the entire implementation cycle from overall perspective. And also this follows an activate methodology from SAP, design, build, test, and deploy. It's a proven methodology. We have done so many projects with this methodology, with this flow. So definitely, this helps, to back up the cloud ALM framework that is in BTP. The next slide is very interesting slide. This also highlights what are the typical issues that customers are facing, while enabling these technologies, basically. So we have seen typical issues like lack of access to the key capabilities, impacting the competitive ability of the business. So definitely to solve that, what we have is new tools, as we mentioned, the integrated tool chain, the cloud A&M, SAP BTP, SAP Signavio, Linux. It's all enterprise grade tools, and they are ready at this point in time. The second challenge what we have is time consuming and extensive stay current and the latest innovation and version upgrades, basically. So deploying these tools within the cloud, that takes away this particular issue at this point in time. And that's where change management can help you as well to maintain the latest and greatest versions of these tools within the cloud, and SAP is taking care of most of it in the background as well. And years of accumulated, the third challenge what we have is years of accumulated technical depth, which is restricted to organization ability to adopt a new changes and the innovation with the agility. So definitely there is a clean core concept, and if you guys are interested more in the clean core concept, feel free to type in the chat box, and we can spend some 30 minutes over the clean core concept as well, after this webinar. Sometime we can set up some time. So clean core dashboard that is providing a visibility into the custom modifications, having a very integrated into the BTP with all the change management, also the reporting and the monitoring. It brings out the newer picture, to how you are doing your extensibility within the S/4HANA environment. Now, extensibility is a concept, that is directly related to your clean core. So definitely we can deep dive, if you are interested, as I mentioned, feel free to, put your comment in the chat box. Now, looking at what else we can do apart from these tools, to make sure our digital transformation can be fast tracked. So definitely clean core relates to creating a low code, no code apps using SAP Build. SAP Build is another service within BTP that is again, it's a big topic. So definitely build and customize your enterprise application, which you can visualize within the build, before even deploying it. So design and personalize your engaging, how you are engaging your business users. That is something you can do before even you move those changes into any of your SAP environment. You can directly visualize that and engage your business users over there. Manage application lifecycle with your appropriate security and governance measures. So SAP is taking care of the security posture in the background. So definitely we don't have to do anything, but definitely, having a strong governance comes with a strong change management. That's again lines up with how you are managing your change, within the SAP landscape. And providing a better user experience, that's another thing what we can do other than just deploying the tools what we just discussed, where we can leverage the fast track and application upgrades, which are most of the SaaS-based solutions are taken care by software vendors, so same with SAP. And they are taking care of the upgrades. They are doing the patching. Basically, they are doing the release, on a daily basis without even affecting anything what we are running at this point in time in the BTP environment or any other SaaS-based solutions, provided by SAP and non-SAP applications we integrate to reduce system downtime, and this is also directly related to, as I mentioned, the system downtimes has been reduced, and there is a stringent SLAs overall that is maintained by SAP for their customers. So these services are almost like 24/7 available to us. There is no downtime. In some cases, we have seen 100% uptime for applications which are already deployed within BTP. Drive continuous process improvements. We can directly engage our business and directly showcase, how SAP Signavio can do a process insight discovery. We can do process mining, and which will suggest what all improvements needs to happen within your processes, that you are running on your system, and that's a continuous process. It's not just a day or two. It is ongoing process that SAP Signavio is keep on mining, your business processes that you are running in system, and it brings out the best of it, and suggest you and make the recommendations, what can be changed and how we can do a change that can relate to Linux, where you can define your IT landscape, and that's how it is well integrated. And going back to the integration tool set, this particular concept is more focused on the integrated tool set, where you can bring in these latest and greatest SaaS-based solutions, and have it ready basically for your business as well as for your leadership on the IT side as well. Um, the next slide is more towards how we provide as a change management as a service. It's whether you are using a BAP-based landscape, whether you are using non-BAP-based landscape. So definitely what we provide at this point in time is fully integrated service, and it's based off your complex and N+1 landscape, where Rev-Trac can be implemented, powered by Oxia. We are implementation partner with Oxia, with the Rev-Trac, and we have a comprehensive management service turnkey solution with 24/7 oversight, basically, and we are expert in this area, and we have done implementations in this area as well. So definitely we can help in managing your change and implementing change for your transformation. But not to finish over here, but definitely, I will hand over to Dan, who will take us forward towards Rev-Trac and give us more insight on the advanced change management piece of it. Dan, over to you.
Thank you, Suharsh. I appreciate that. And I just did a switch of slides, or I'm trying to. Are you getting those up yet on the sharing? Are you seeing my slides, Suharsh, or did I mess that up? Okay, no, I think we're coming through. Great. It'd just be easier for me to click through the slides. But absolutely, Suharsh, appreciate all that information. 100% agree. A strong foundation for your change management processes is essential for an S/4HANA transformation, because they can be lengthy, they can be risky, they can be expensive. So having that foundation in place, and with a partner like Akshay to help with that, that's very much appreciated with us. Not going to speak too much of this. I think there are some Rev-Trac customers on the call, but in that SAP automated change management space, we have been doing this for many years. As an SAP partner, certified solutions across many different SAP categories, and we have global support. We're headquartered on the other side of the world in Melbourne, Australia. We have teams here in the US where I'm based, along with about 10 other colleagues, as well as in Europe and in the APAC region. So just a brief background on who Rev-Trac is, and really how Rev-Trac supports folks or customers at all different parts of their S/4HANA transformation. You might be still thinking about it. You might already be done. You know, people are on different timelines based on their business needs and their technology stacks and all those types of things. But Rev-Trac can help if you get started with Rev-Trac early, even before your migration. So let's say you're looking at moving to S/4HANA sometime in 2026 or 2027, something like that. Well, Rev-Trac can help you make some improvements to your code because you're still going to be developing changes in your ECC environment, but why not run that through automated S/4HANA readiness checks and making sure that Rev-Trac enforces that so that when you do move, you have less code that you have to worry about adapting to S4. So you can get started on that. And SAP makes recommendations on analyzing your custom code and all those types of things. So we're in the lines with that of just any new changes you make at this point, you may as well make them available, ready and compatible with S/4HANA, and having Rev-Trac as part of that process to help enforce that with some other tools like SAP's ATC, ABAP Test Cockpit, for example. Or during the migration, we're going to give some examples here. That's where I believe Suharsh was talking about N+1 or even more complex environments where you're running the business as usual in your ECC environments, but at the same time, you're building your new S4 environments. They are complex scenarios. You have to keep things in sync and you have to capture the changes that you're doing in ECC and make sure they get over to S4. As well. So Rev-Trac is very instrumental during the migration. And then once customers are live on S4, Suharsh was mentioning Clean Core, right? That's an example of, again, Rev-Trac building a process where you are enforcing some type of Clean Core checks, again, through perhaps ATC variants to do Clean Core checks as well as parts of your process. So if you have a Clean Core exception rule, because that is going to happen from time to time, but maybe you need certain VPs to approve those types of exceptions. So Rev-Trac can really help you control that in all the different phases. And we have a couple examples here. Suharsh also mentioned Cloud ALM, right? And many customers are using or looking at Cloud ALM. And from this perspective, Rev-Trac integrates very well with Cloud ALM. So we're sort of future-proofing. We integrate with it today, and you'll see a couple slides later how we fill some gaps on some of these more complex scenarios that perhaps Cloud AM currently can't achieve. So Rev-Trac can fill those gaps. So I want to first spend a few minutes just talking about 3 scenarios where Rev-Trac helps and integrates with Cloud ALM if you're moving down that path for change and deployment management and managing your SAP technical changes with Cloud ALM. The first area is what we classify as ABAP code control. It's sort of the shift left concept that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. You might want to be doing a series of activities while your changes are still in your development system before they're ever released, and you might want to perform extra checks and for sensitive objects and treat those in a different way, or know about dependencies and parallel development before you release those changes. So ABAP code control is a area where Rev-Trac can certainly offer some additional value, but at the same time integrate with Cloud ALM. So what we're looking at briefly on this slide is Cloud ALM at the top. Cloud ALM, for those that are familiar with it, they have the capability of a feature. A feature is the way that you put your changes into, your transports into, and you move them through an approval cycle and deployment cycle. In Cloud ALM, it's a fixed cycle. These steps up across the top are the ones that come with Cloud ALM. But Rev-Trac, through our integration, lets you integrate with Cloud ALM to sort of break out to Rev-Trac to do some additional things if it's necessary in your environment, right? And that's what we're showing down here is this bi-directional integration coming from the Cloud ALM feature to Rev-Trac and then going back up to Cloud ALM from Rev-Trac at the appropriate points in time. But what types of things might customers want to do? This is a busy slide, right? A lot of things on this slide, and I'm not going to spend too much time, but again, we have Cloud ALM at the top, and we have Rev-Trac in the middle and the bottom. Types of things that customers that we've experienced that they might want to do. They might want to have a critical or sensitive object list and treat those differently. You might have a list of changes that need special approvals or special documentations or special workflows that they need to go through because they're riskier changes or or other aspects to them. So Rev-Trac can handle that. For example, break out of Cloud ALM, come into Rev-Trac and handle those in that certain way. And these icons are representing either Rev-Trac doing these functionalities or reaching out to other tools and solutions to do that. So you can see some of them are identified as third-party tools. Many customers in the SAP world have automated code checking solutions outside of ABAP Test Cockpit. So they might be running an ONAPSIS tool or a security bridge tool to do some advanced automated code checking. Well, Rev-Trac can automatically integrate into those. You can make sure those safety checks are run, store the results in Rev-Trac. So as you are building your changes in your development system, you're following whatever processes your teams have determined are necessary in there. Or you might integrate with ABAP Test Cockpit or Tricentis impact analysis, the live compare impact analysis part of Tricentis. So they're just some examples of where Rev-Trac can come into play and help you use some of those other tools and other processes to augment and fill in some gaps with Cloud ALM that they're not able to do today. And then even calling out to SAP tools and solutions for, again, Clean Core. You can run an ATC Clean Core variant check directly from Rev-Trac, store the results, making sure that you're producing Clean Core compatible code, and so on and so forth. So point here is that Rev-Trac can easily integrate into Cloud ALM. If you're choosing to use Cloud ALM, I want to be clear that Rev-Trac is not dependent on Cloud ALM, but if you're choosing to use that now or in the future, Rev-Trac is able to integrate with that. And please, today isn't a demonstration environment, but we do have demos on the Rev-Trac website on how this works in more detail, and you could spend 10 or 15 minutes there getting an idea of that, or of course always reach out to us for those things. So that's the first scenario where Rev-Trac is integrated with Cloud ALM to do some advanced code control and code checking type of scenarios. Retrofitting was something that Suharsh mentioned, right? So again, these types of scenarios, customers might be in, we're engaged with some customers with a multi-year S4HANA transformation. So they're running their business as usual on ECC as they're building their S4 in waves. So you're going into an N+1 extended period. You're going to have to synchronize these environments. So how does Rev-Trac help in those scenarios? Very briefly, we've been doing retrofitting for our customers without Cloud ALM for many years, but recently at last year's Cloud ALM event in APJ in India, we were the Amathon winners showing our integration for automated retrofitting with Cloud ALM. We're very proud of taking that award. We're going to be there again next month, and we've enhanced it even further. So we've taken what we had last year and we've built on it to introduce some new advanced features. I can't really share them at this time, but they'll be available after the ALM event there in Bangalore, I believe, next month. So we'll share that information with you on our website and out to you with some of those new advanced automated retrofitting capabilities for these more complex S4HANA transformation scenarios. But how does that work? Again, we'll be integrating with the Cloud ALM feature, but we're doing it a slightly different way this time. What we're representing in this diagram here is your ECC environment, business as usual, running your business, supporting your business, processing your SAP changes. But as you're building S4, you need to keep these in sync and retrofit changes from ECC to S4. And that's where Rev-Trac really comes in. We can integrate with other tools in the marketplace like a Smart Shift, where they'll help you do some of the automated code remediation, making them compatible from ECC to S4. So we've worked with customers to integrate in those types of scenarios. So that's, again, at a high level, we have demos out on how we do this in particular with the integration with Cloud ALM, but that's the benefit that Rev-Trac is bringing there. Here's a little bit more technical detail of how these complex environments can be challenging and areas that Rev-Trac helps with the automated downgrade and dependency checks that Rev-Trac will do in your business as usual or production support tracks supporting your business. And then when you get into the retrofit, the automating retrofit capabilities that Rev-Trac's doing, we're letting you know about those cross-system overtakes and possible overwrites and conflicts that you're having. So we help you keep these in track. Again, it's a pretty complex topic, and I only have 1 or 2 quick slides about it, but we're happy to engage with you further if you're facing these challenges in the future. And a little bit more, another similar type diagram. Again, I'm cognizant of time here, so I don't want to spend too much time on these, but this is where we would be integrating heavily with the ABAP test cockpit checks, and a good best practice is to run a check at the beginning when you start doing the development on ECC. Again, Rev-Trac can help enforce and automate those checks and store those results in the Rev-Trac requests. And then when you're about to do the retrofit, you would run it again. And then Rev-Trac is an intelligent retrofitting solution that they can be automatically applied if the compatibility checks out and you're good, or if there is an incompatibility, Rev-Trac would automatically drop the change, but still give you a placeholder to make sure that you're bringing that change down into the S4 environment, but perhaps with a manual change in that S4 environment. So Rev-Trac is very efficient at handling those types of complex N+1 scenarios with a lot of automation delivered with the Rev-Trac solution. The third area for Cloud ALM, third and final, is just a integration with the requirements part of Cloud ALM. Again, not sure how much the users are familiar with Cloud ALM, but I was talking before about the features, and the first 2 environments were talking about integrations with the features. Okay, but the third one is integrating with the requirement aspect. Suharsh had mentioned a little bit about the requirements. It's just a way that you can choose to use Cloud ALM to manage your user stories and those types of things, sort of like a Jira or an ADO type of approach. So again, Rev-Trac doesn't require to be integrated with Cloud ALM, but if that's the path you're going, we do have a bi-directional integration where you're doing your things in Cloud ALM, you create the user story, it automatically creates the Rev-Trac. Rev-Trac goes through whatever process you need, however simple or complex that might be, managing the transports and then updating Cloud ALM along the way of the various steps. So the business users and the architects that are developing these requirements are informed when changes are moving through your SAP environments. And again, this is a simple example with just a 3 system landscape, but this could be including BTP changes and multiple landscapes and so on and so forth. But we're showing a simple representation here. So that's the 3 key areas that we've invested in at Rev-Trac for customers that are moving down the Cloud ALM path, where we can help with that integration and sort of future-proof any plans that you might have for your change management by integrating with SAP's tool Cloud ALM. Interest of time, I know I'm right at the time I was going to finish. I have a few slides here. I'm going to go through them rather quickly, but there are also scenarios that we've encountered over the years and customers might be facing these days that are more complex environments, right? Where, as Suharsh was saying, Cloud ALM is still evolving in the change and deployment areas, and there are some gaps that can be filled with a solution such as Rev-Trac, and those we just point them out here with a quick picture for each one. So I'm talking a lot about N+1 over the last few minutes and the retrofitting, but more complex retrofitting in N+2, N+3 environments. We have customers that might have multiple QA systems in this path, and you want to move transports into certain ones at certain times, but not others. They're the types of scenarios excuse me, where Rev-Trac can really help in those more complex project type environments when you're building out multiple phases and releases of a project. So that's one more complex example. Another one, this doesn't happen too often, but it's called air gap, and that's a scenario typically in defense industries, government defense, armies and air forces and things like that, or very secure government services, where they actually have a physical gap between your non-prod and your prod systems, right? Where there's no network connectivity. How do you still have to manage SAP changes in there, and Rev-Trac has a way to do that. It's sort of the old sneaker net way of getting the changes over to here, but still getting the benefits of Rev-Trac for the dependency checks and sequence checks and things like that. So, but again, that's certainly a unique scenario to only a small percentage of customers. Some customers are going for global template rollouts. Rev-Trac has a very proven and well architected solution for customers that are moving into a global template type of scenario with their rollouts for their S/4HANA transformation. So we can handle those type. We also have the opposite of that is almost a consolidation project. People had multiple ECCs throughout different regions of the world, and they might be doing some type of consolidation of those ECCs into a single S/4HANA. Again, more complex requirements, but Rev-Trac can easily handle them and sort of filling the gaps where some of the SAP tools can't do that today. One or two more, you might have not just a simple dev, QA, and prod, but you might have other systems in between. Again, that's something we've been doing for many years, so that's an easy one for us to manage if that's in your future. Customers might be looking at performance systems. You might be using a solution like Tricentis Neoload for performance management, but these are temporary systems a lot of times, or systems might be out due to maintenance. Again, Rev-Trac can handle these types of putting systems into the landscape for your change management processes and pulling them out, or having temporary systems. It's not an issue for us to handle those types of complex scenarios if that's something that might be of a requirement. And lastly, a few others I don't have slides for, but MDG syncing, what SAP has traditionally called XLD, cross-landscape distribution in Solution Manager. Rev-Trac has a solution for that to keep the MDG and S/4HANA systems synced up in a safe and effective way, as well as some customers have come to us asking for advanced GRC tool integration for approval governance, so we can integrate with the tools like Savient and SailPoint for provisioning and reporting of the roles in Rev-Trac for advanced change management, and tie that all up to a single source of truth in a customer's GRC tool. So that's 6 or 7 very quick examples, and I'm sort of running out of time and running out of slides for that, but hopefully that gives you some ideas of things that challenges you might be facing, and where you might want to reach out to the Rev-Trac team, or take a look at our website to see some videos on how we handle some of these scenarios. Along the way, we're helping with efficiency and automation. That's some of the business outcomes that I'd mentioned before. Just wrapping up here very quickly, helping customers to shift left in their development process. And something I didn't touch on, but is very important these days for customers, is the ability to extend a change management solution such as Rev-Trac to other tools being your ITSM tools like ServiceNow or Freshservice or Service Desk Plus, or project management solutions like Jira and ADO. That's all part of Rev-Trac, and very easy for us to achieve those bi-directional integrations to give the customer that full end-to-end change management process. I'm almost out of breath and out of words. I think this is, but we're hitting our timelines pretty well, I think, Suharsh. You know, maybe about 5 minutes.
That was very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Suharsh. Thank you for everyone. We have consumed all the time allocated for the webinar. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to send your questions to hello@revtrac.com. Thank you. Have a